In my opinion, AI might replace mixing engineers and mastering engineers, but I don't think it's ever going to replace music producers. It will, at the very least, however, change the way that songs are produced, for sure. What's up, y'all? For those of you who are new here, I'm Daniel from IO Sound Studio, and I'm a producer and a mixing engineer of about 11 years now. So I kind of wanted to jump on here and kind of give my 2 cents about AI, and specifically AI in the music industry. How it's helpful, how it's harmful, etc., etc. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. So before I get specifically into why I think AI might replace mixing engineers and mastering engineers, but probably not music producers, let's kind of define our terms really quick and let's look at the roles of each of those people. So what do mixing engineers do? Mixing engineers ultimately take the tracks that a music producer puts together and essentially blends them together in a coherent, beautiful way that enhances the songwriting, the arrangement, and the actual production of the song. Now, a mixing engineer will, at this point in time, either mix the song to be a stereo file in the very end, a left-right, or they will mix the song to be compatible for something like Dolby Atmos in surround. A mastering engineer, on the other hand, will take a mixed song and will then master that track, meaning they will take that mixed song and put the final polish on that song. They will do things like increase the width of the song if necessary. They will level out any harsh frequencies in the mix that are still there. They will double check and make sure that a song translates to all kinds of different places. The mixing engineer definitely does the majority of that, but a good mastering engineer will kind of do something similar. And most notably, a mastering engineer will match the loudness of the mix to other songs that are adjacent to it on streaming platforms, radio, so on and so forth. A music producer is kind of the first or second line of the process in making a song. After the song is already written and arranged, typically that's when a music producer steps in, assuming that the music producer is not also helping write the song. A music producer will take the work tape, which is typically a vocal and piano or a vocal and guitar or something of that nature, and they will actually help bring together all the instrumentation for the final track. Now, traditionally, music producers kind of take on 2 different roles. If you don't know, there is the very traditional role of a music producer, which is essentially taking a 30,000-foot view of a song and overseeing the entire process and taking care of all the logistics and making sure the song gets from that first initial idea into the final master. This type of producer has a hand in every single part of the process, typically even from songwriting and arranging all the way to the mixing process, all the way to the final master. They kind of have a part in every single thing. Sometimes this kind of producer will also have a hand in things like publishing and management and those kinds of other parts of the process with the artist, but that just depends. Think of someone kind of like Rick Rubin, for example.
I have no technical ability, and I know nothing about music.
Well, he kind of fits this mold of this kind of music producer. The other kind of music producer, someone kind of like myself or like most other music producers in today's day and age, are the kind of music producers that come alongside of the artist and they help actually themselves play the majority of the instrumentation for the song. They will bring the artist into the studio, they'll sit down, that producer will then kind of play everything himself, or maybe hire in other session players to play a drum part or a saxophone part or a bass part or whatever. This kind of music producer also sometimes helps shape the demoing, the arrangement, the songwriting of the actual song itself. Now, there's a lot of flexibility in the term music producer. Music producer is used kind of loosely as this umbrella term today in the music industry, but those are kind of the 2 general sides of the coin that a music producer falls into. Now, before we go any further, I just want to very clearly say that I do think there is great utility in using AI in some justifiable ways in the music industry, and I think that there are some completely disingenuous and uninspired and kind of gross ways that AI can be used in the music industry. And I'll talk about all of those ways a little bit later in the video, so make sure you stick around to hear the rest of my thoughts if you care. So here's generally why I think that AI will eventually replace mixing engineers and mastering engineers. For one, we've already kind of seen there being software and things developed to start kind of taking that work away from these kinds of engineers, especially mastering engineers. If you look at platforms like DistroKid and SoundCloud, they already have softwares that are already built into them that allow you to kind of master a song, and make it loud enough to be kind of competitive with other adjacent songs. So that work has already kind of started to be taken away from mastering engineers even before AI really stepped onto the stage. Also, one really big reason that I think AI is probably going to step into mixing and mastering before it really steps into music production is frankly because mixing and mastering are much more technical and analytical skills that can kind of be learned a bit easier than music production. They're not nearly as creative. Now, please hear me, there is definitely a lot of creativity that goes into mixing, and there's a lot of creativity that even goes into mastering. And a lot of that comes through experience and working on a huge range of songs and kind of understanding what the song actually demands. Now that's a very important part, and I don't know if AI can really fully take that away, but I do know that in analyzing hundreds of thousands and millions of songs, AI is going to start getting pretty close to understanding what a decently mixed song sounds like by someone like Serban Gania, and AI is going to start understanding what it takes to kind of master a track that sounds fairly well polished. Now, unfortunately, I think AI is going to kind of go in such a direction that after analyzing so many songs, the user is going to kind of be able to specify, hey, I would really like this song to be mixed and mastered in the style of Serban Gania or mixed in the style of CLA and, you know, so forth, and kind of A/B those different types of mix options and choose whatever they think is better for the song. But I don't necessarily think AI is going to be able to produce a track in that same type of way. I don't think an AI is going to eventually be able to say, hey, I want the song produced in the style of Rick Rubin, or I want the song produced in the style of Jon Bellion. And then AI is going to be able to accurately spit out something that actually sounds good and has their actual taste. I don't personally think it's going to get that good, but again, we will see. Now, of course, even in saying this, there are absolutely caveats, and there are things in mixing and mastering that I still don't think AI can actually fully replace. Like I said earlier, there is a level of taste and understanding when you hear a song as a mixing engineer and a mastering engineer, and knowing exactly what that particular song requires for it. And also, there's a level of being able to communicate with the artist and with the producer and with the management or whatever to kind of clarify what exactly it is that you're looking for that particular song. Not every single song in every single mix and master is copy and paste from one song to another. Honestly, it's very rarely that way. So it kind of just depends. I think there's going to be kind of some flexibility. Maybe AI takes on a majority of it and you have to kind of prompt it a little bit further to get it to get you what you want. But generally speaking, I think AI is going to have an easier time taking the work from, in order, mastering engineers first, then mixing engineers, and then music producers. Now, I'm just kind of guessing based off of the current trends with AI and music, and Suno and Udio, and all of those things and how they're being utilized in the music industry. But, man, my guess is as good as any. Truly, like, go back 3 years and this crap didn't even exist. So, who knows? By the way, I have my phone here and I'm kind of reading off notes so that I don't ramble too much. And there are a couple of specific points that I want to hit. So that's why I'm looking down at my phone if you're curious. Now, here is specifically why I do not think that AI is going to ever fully replace human music producers in the process. Firstly, human beings need collaboration with other human beings. It's just an integral and irreplaceable part of the process. There is something extremely special about human connection and human beings collaborating together, blending their worldviews, blending their musical experience, blending their own individual tastes, and coming up with something that is a unique combination of what each person contributes to the track. Whether that is, two songwriters co-writing on a song, or that is a music producer and an artist, and even maybe AI being a part of that equation, or that's, say, a producer and this session drummer and this session violinist. There is something very special that happens in the room where human beings are getting together and they are collaborating together to come up with something that's ultimately bigger and more special than any of the individual parts. I don't think it's going to get to a place where an artist can then sit down and take this idea and prompt AI and it will exactly make specifically what that artist envisioned in their mind. Can AI already, if prompted well, make something that sounds pretty good? Yeah, it really can. It really can. And it is getting very convincing as far as the songwriting, the arrangement, the production, etc. But I don't think it can ever replace that genuine, authentic human connection and collaboration in the song-making process. I really don't. Second, the human soul thrives on real creation, real genuine creation. Now, regardless of whatever you believe, that's super cool. I personally think that we're all made in God's image, and God being a creator made us to also create. And I think when we cheapen that process, I think it really robs us of the satisfaction and the beauty that comes with genuine creation. There is something just so special about having made something fully, like a final product that you genuinely thought of yourself, even if it was inspired by something else, even if you got help or whatever from other people who are more talented than you or whatever. There's something extraordinarily special about genuinely creating something that is all yours. There's something special about it. I don't know exactly how to say it, but if you know what I'm talking about, then you know. And also, another thing is that actual satisfaction. Like, there's something very satisfying about going through the process, about saving up and spending the money, about hiring other human beings who are extraordinarily talented. There's something special about this whole process and something extremely satisfying when you get to the finish line of thinking, man, this song took me 5 years to live the life experiences, to write, to find the right people to work together with, to so on and so forth, to get this final product. That is far more satisfying. It's harder, obviously, but that's what makes it rewarding, is kind of the suffering and the challenge in the process, in my humble opinion. Another reason that I don't think AI is going to replace human being producers is that, look, every single producer has their own unique sound, which is super freaking cool. That's developed over time and is kind of comes from a place of their own personal tastes. And also, human beings can imbue songs with a certain feel and an intentional messiness or imperfection that I don't think AI is going to replicate. Sometimes, man, an artist or a producer will just say, hey, you know, this song I don't want this song to be perfect. I want these vocals to be totally out of pitch or out of tune. I want these guitar tones to not sound clean and polished. I want them to sound really gritty and gross. I want to be experimental in the recording, and I want to just like lay a microphone on the ground and have the guitar amp all the way across the room and record it in that kind of way. Like, let's just see what happens, right? Let's put the microphones in the garage and see how that makes the drums sound in a different room. Like, there's a million tiny decisions that go into making a song, and I don't think anyone can prompt AI well enough to say, hey, I want it to sound like blah, 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 blah. I want to record this blender and turn that into a sample that we put in the song. Like, if you know what I'm talking about, you know. There's an endless amount of creativity and decision making when it comes to producing and recording a song that I just don't think that AI is ever going to get right. Human beings can and will be intentionally messy and intentionally imperfect to get across a certain kind of emotion that makes us feel something that AI doesn't have feelings. And so it can't relate in that kind of way. AI is not going to listen to this weird, gross thing that you did on a guitar or this weird usage of a sample or whatever and feel the same way that we will in going through that process. And so, okay, next thing. This one's really important, and that is that most artists genuinely do not even have the language to be able to communicate well enough with AI for it then to output the result that they're actually even looking for. That's kind of like the whole purpose of a music producer. Music producers have developed this amazing ability. By the way, these are some thoughts from my buddy Kamo. But music producers have this incredible ability to kind of give language to music artists that they didn't really have themselves, so that they can then work together collaboratively towards the process that the artist initially envisioned in their mind. This is a skill that every producer has. It comes down to essentially really good communication and empathy, and also the ability to understand what it's like to be in the artist's shoes as well as in the producer's shoes. Most producers who are artists can just kind of communicate with artists in such a way that the artists would have no idea how to communicate their thoughts on their own. And also, I don't know about you guys, but personally, when I'm working with other artists or even other session musicians, the default for most of the language becomes like singing back and forth. Like, so for example, literally this morning I was producing a song for a friend, and we were on a video call, and she was saying, hey, what if the guitar went da 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 or whatever instead of da, right? Like, you get the idea. And then me playing guitar, you just kind of do that really quickly. So like, there's just this level of communication that happens person to person that like it's not gonna really happen with AI. I'm talking very fast, and I'm sorry, I'm just like really passionate about this topic. Okay, let's talk about some ways that I think AI genuinely can and will help music producers and music production overall. First off, AI is very good at making supplemental things that help elevate the production, especially if it's needed in a pinch. perfect example. My buddy Austin Cannon, who's a producer, he was working on a song, and I'm probably going to tell this story a little bit wrong, so whatever, sorry Austin. But he was working on a song, and he was traveling, and long story short, the demo that he was working on, the label decided, hey, we really like the song, and we want to move up the release date. Austin was out of the country and wasn't able to be back in his studio to do the things, play the stuff, hire the people to get the product done sooner. So he used Suno to help flesh out the production of the song. Perfectly valid use case. And it helped expedite the process of the song. And I think that's a perfectly fine way of using AI. Another example from my buddy Kamo again, who's another music producer. He needed a choir. He didn't have enough time to get together 6, 7, 8 people, train them on their parts, and then all get together in a room, get them mic'd, and then record it. That just takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of effort and a lot of logistics and all the things. And so he used Suno to kind of help build out a choir. Now, here's an important note. Right now, where Suno is at, these individual isolated elements would sound garbage. This choir by itself would sound garbage. The stuff that Austin used in his song by itself without it being mixed properly and, maybe eventually replaced by other session players, whatever, on its own would still sound garbage. AI's music and stuff on its own right now still sounds trash. I don't think it's gonna stay that way for long, but that's where it's at right now. So the first thing, it can be used for supplemental production, especially when in a pinch. The second way that I think AI is super helpful is in the ideation process, whether that is helping generate ideas for songwriting, helping kind of flesh out ideas for the arrangement of a song, or even kind of just coming up with different possible directions that the production of a song can go in. Right? And you can do that in a very quick way with tools like Suno or Udio. Like, you can have a basic idea for a work tape, a vocal and a guitar, or a piano vocal, whatever, and you can say, hey, here's this song. I want you to kind of make something in the style of Lana Del Rey, or in the style of Ed Sheeran, or make it kind of Ed Sheeran, but like with a country flair, and it will give you different options. And that will speed up the workflow of you working with an artist to help kind of figure out what direction you even want to go with the song. So I think in the ideation phase, using it as kind of like a springboard to bounce ideas off, I think that's a really good way to use AI. Another really good way that I think a producer can use AI is by using it to quickly wrap up lower leverage projects. So for example, if your week is stacked with producing out the bones of this EP for this artist, and you're also tasked to make this 15 to 30 second sync licensing song or something like that, and this one doesn't need to be all that special, like the sync licensing thing doesn't need to be all that special, and the majority of your time and your creative energy are gonna be put towards producing out this EP for this artist, then, maybe put your focus towards producing the song for this artist and use AI to kind of help quickly figure out this sync licensing project. There are ways to do that too, and still allowing it to be authentic, not just saying, hey, Suno, please make me this blah, 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 this pop track that sounds like this, and then, whatever. Not going farther in manipulating that Suno thing to make it sound more authentic, whatever. I think there's a cheap way to use AI, and I think there's a really good, helpful way to use AI. Now, I'm almost done. Now, here are a couple of challenges that I think music producers are going to face as AI gets more integrated into the music industry. First off, the music industry is kind of notorious for being a race to the bottom in several different ways. Labels are trying to make money and spend as little of it as possible where they can make cuts. And also, many independent music artists just simply don't have the budget to hire out producers and hire out session players and all these things to put together final songs. Now, of course, there's exceptions, caveats. But the three places that I think producers are going to kind of get hit the hardest are, for one, independent artists with lower budgets that frankly think they can do the job of a producer without a producer and will kind of, run into that wall when they get there. I've seen it happen. A lot of artists want to try to save money and they're like, I'll just do it myself, whatever, or I'll just use Suno or whatever. And, they end up being disappointed and wasting time and money. At least that's how it is right now. I think eventually Suno's going to get to a place where, maybe artists who don't have as big budgets can actually make something that is passable that they don't hate. We'll see. Again, we'll see. And the second place I think that producers are going to kind of get hit is in sync licensing and background music, that kind of stuff. Things that initially would have been hired out to music producers, I think are kind of formulaic enough to the point where, especially if it's background, people are going to default to using AI over music producers instead to save some money. Because frankly, the sync licensing space isn't very cheap and producers can get paid pretty decently for a lot of these spots. And so if the agencies can save money, by using Suno instead of hiring a music producer, I think they probably will start going that direction. Now, obviously, AI is still not able to communicate and empathize in the same kind of way that a human being can, so I think there's still going to be room for music producers and AI to coexist in this space, but it's definitely going to change. And I briefly mentioned it, but the third place that I think music producers are going to start kind of being kicked out of with the incorporation of AI is probably in labels, especially for very formulaic pop type of music. There's already labels who are working with Udio and Suno and training AI models on the artists that are signed to their labels, like with UMG and blah, 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 blah. So in the next 5-10 years, I have no idea exactly how that's going to play out, but I can almost guarantee that music producers are going to play a smaller part overall in the creation of those songs than they are right now. How that's going to work out, I have no idea. But AI is only getting smarter, it's not getting dumber, and it's getting better at making music, not worse. So we'll see how that goes. Now here is my advice specifically to music producers, but also to all music professionals, whether you're a session player, a mixing engineer, mastering engineer, whatever, and take this with a grain of salt because again, I'm just a nobody music producer, at least at this point in my career. I think the two things that are going to be the most important going forward for us human beings who are making music are, one, to provide an exceptional product, and two, to provide an exceptional experience. To provide an exceptional product and to provide an exceptional experience, especially for music producers. The thing that AI will never be able to replicate for a music producer is making the creation of the entire song an experience for the artist. It's not very fun to just sit down and type in a prompt into Suno and then it spits out a cool song that you then topline. That's nothing, there's no story there, there's no excitement, it's pretty boring, and it's not super fun. It might be cheap and it might be fast, but it's not satisfying at all. What I've found that artists genuinely appreciate is one, just being really fun to work with, like literally making it an enjoyable process, and also two, overall making it a story that the artist can then walk away with. They want to make memories, right? If an artist is making an album or an EP, they want it to be tied to something that's genuinely fun. One thing that Benny Blanco does, for example, is he makes artists their favorite food when they come to the studio. That's genius. That is a great way to make it into an enjoyable, communal type of experience. And so go the extra mile to make sure your artists or whoever you're working with are genuinely loving and enjoying the process. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. And two, make an exceptional product. Even if as the producer, you are using AI a little bit in the creative process to kind of help speed up the workflow, blah, 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 whatever, make sure that the end result of whatever song you're working on is absolutely the best that it possibly can be with the resources that you have available as a music producer. If that means spending a little bit more time in the studio, even if the budget isn't quite there for the song that justifies you spending more time in the studio on the song, go the extra mile. Serve the artist however you can. Make the song the very best that you can justifiably make it. Do not skimp out on the song just because fill in whatever excuse, right? Make work that you are extremely proud of, and also know that your reputation is going to be tied to that song. And so if you can serve X artist to the very best of your ability, make sure that they have a great time and make sure that they get a great song, at the end of that project, guess what? They're gonna speak to other people who are also looking for producers, and maybe these people that they're gonna talk to have been burned by bad producers or whatever. Make sure that you do whatever it takes to make sure you have an incredible reputation, because word of mouth is so important in having a great reputation in the music industry. I can't overemphasize it enough. Is so important. So all that to say, I don't think AI is going to replace music producers, and if we want to stay ahead of AI as music producers, make sure that you are doing whatever you can to provide an exceptional experience and an exceptional product. Okay, oh my god, that was so much talking. All right, leave your thoughts below about what you think is gonna happen in the music industry with AI. Do you hate AI in the music industry? Do you want me to talk more about AI in the music industry? Should I make videos of me using Suno to make songs? Let me know your thoughts. I will see you later on with another video. If you want to support me more directly, as always, you can check out my Patreon at patreon.com/IOmusic. And yeah, thanks for being here. Love you guys. Mwah. That's weird. See ya.